Hello everyone, this is your friend and I am back with a new fanfic part 3. The fanfic title is What If Naruto and Hinata's Love Story Started at the Academy Part 3. Now let's start the fanfic. I hope you enjoy this. Hey, what's this all about? You kids are interrupting the exams. Anko walked up to them, placing her hands on her hips. Yeah, I was just about to ask what you guys are doing here. Naruto looked at Konohamaru. We're here to do an interview for the Academy's newspaper. Oh, that's right. Lord Hokage told me about that. Anko remembered. Alright then, we are taking a 10-minute break. She announced, walking away. An interview? Naruto asked. Yeah, we are interviewing people here, but there is one person who is the most important. Konohamaru pulled out a notebook and a pen. And who's that? Naruto asked. Konohamaru chuckled. Well, it's you, boss. Huh, me. Naruto exclaimed in surprise, but his shocked expression was quickly replaced with a grin. Well then, if that's the case, I'm gonna make it clear to your readers why the Leaf has the greatest ninja in the world, myself included of course. He smiled idly. Alright, boss. First, tell us a little bit about yourself. Okay. Naruto grinned and fixed his headband. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, the Leaf's #1 most unpredictable, knuckle-headed ninja, and I'm on my way to becoming the greatest Hokage this village has ever seen. I'm a member of Team 7, my sensei is Kakashi Hatake and my teammates are Hinata, he pointed towards her, and Sasuke. He stuck out his thumb in Sasuke's direction. Okay then, let's hear something about them too. Konohamaru looked towards Hinata with a hopeful smile. Okay. Naruto scratched the back of his head. Wasn't I supposed to be the star here? He whispered to Konohamaru. Yeah, but the whole article can't be just about you, boss. Yeah, I mean of course not, but. Naruto reddened in embarrassment, but Hinata's chuckle drew his attention to her. Hey, don't you laugh at me. He walked towards her, pulling her close with his arm while ruffling her hair and jokingly pinching her nose with his other hand, making her giggle even more. You're so silly. She blushed. Yeah, but that's why you like me. He winked at her, making her blush even more. Their eyes met and for just a couple of seconds they were lost in each other's gazes. There's that tingly feeling again. Naruto pulled himself together and gently rubbed his nose against Hinata's in a sweet Eskimo kiss, intensifying the butterflies in her stomach. Moegi giggled while everyone just stared at the two. Sasuke looked away annoyed while Sakura and Ino looked at the two with their mouths open. Who knew that Naruto could be so affectionate? Ino tried to find the right word for what she was seeing. Yeah. Looking at the two, Sakura felt a tinge of jealousy and a bit of sadness, feeling that she just lost a fanboy of hers, probably the only one she's ever had. Was she that awful to him that he got over her so easily? Especially after having a crush on her for years and asking her out 100 times a day, he seemed to have forgotten about her completely. The feeling of envy increased a bit as she remembered that Sasuke never showed that kind of affection towards her and maybe even never will, but Naruto sure would have if she had given him a chance. Right now she just needed to try and be friends with him again and apologize for insulting him. After a long interview with all the rookies, the very pleased Konohamaru left with Moegi and Udon. Boss's girlfriend is very cute. Moegi exclaimed. I know, right? Udon agreed. Yeah, but unlike him she's very quiet. She didn't say much about herself for the interview. Konohamaru said. Anyway, let's go make this into the best newspaper the Academy's ever had. Yeah, the two agreed. Back at the exam location, all the participants were wandering around with a piece of paper they needed to read and sign in case they actually died during the exam, which made the situation even more serious and showed just how dangerous this exam is. After getting one of the two scrolls, the teams were led into the forest. No one knew what to expect, and some of them had no idea that just hours after getting into the woods they were eliminated by chakra-sucking slugs, traps, eating poisonous plants and getting knocked out by peeking into the scrolls, which was forbidden for a reason. But Team 7 wasn't doing any better. After getting separated from each other by a powerful wind jutsu, Hinata located Sasuke with her Byakugan, and after they met, Naruto came running back towards them only to be punched in the stomach by Hinata, who recognized him as a fake. After the fake Naruto unveiled himself as a ninja with long black hair, he attacked them with a genjutsu, getting them to see their own death. While Sasuke managed to snap out of it by stabbing himself in the leg, Hinata didn't, as she was sitting still, her entire body shaking, unable to move. Meanwhile, a little further away in the woods, Naruto broke out of a giant snake's stomach using his shadow clones and headed towards his teammates. What he found made his stomach flip. Hinata was sitting against a tree with her eyes wide open, while Sasuke was in front of her holding a kunai in his thigh and his other hand on his neck covering something black. The creepy ninja looked at him with a scary grin. "So, you've managed to escape from my friend. So it wasn't just a random giant snake, this guy sent it." Naruto frowned. "Okay. Now slide her away before I kick your ass. Idiot. You don't know who you're dealing with." Sasuke yelled at him, surprising him. What surprised him even more was when Sasuke turned to the guy pulling their earth scroll out. "Here, take it. Just leave us alone." He threw the scroll towards the guy, but just before he could wrap his long tongue around it, he got socked by Naruto, who caught the scroll and jumped over to Sasuke. "Have you lost your mind? What do you think you're doing? When did Sasuke become such a coward? Shut up, moron. Just give him the stupid scroll. No way in hell. He's too strong for us." Naruto was just about to yell back, but he got caught in the guy's tongue, who pulled him closer. "Ugh. Gross. Let me go before I yank that tongue out of your throat." Naruto tried releasing himself, but it was no use. The guy laughed maliciously. "You sure are loud for such a little brat. What a fool." He reached out for the scroll but stopped when he felt a powerful surge of chakra. Looking up in Naruto, he was met with his red eyes. "What is this chakra? It's like evil itself. Could it be?" Meanwhile, Sasuke managed to shake Hinata out of the genjutsu. She looked towards her crush and gasped. Is he? Yeah, that's definitely the real Naruto. Let me down." Naruto growled, punching the guy so hard he broke 3 threes in a row, slamming into the fourth one unconscious. Running towards his teammates, he yelled at them. "Run!" Anko was getting closer to them, having heard that Orochimaru was in the forest. Finding him standing next to a row of broken trees, she knew it meant no good. Fortunately, Team 7 managed to escape, and they were now sitting against a rock next to a river and panting heavily. After having a much-needed meal of roasted fish, they rested until they were approached by Kabuto. Recognizing him, they decided to trust him and headed back into the woods, only to get in trouble again. After getting attacked by a team with masks who put a genjutsu on them, they were fortunately able to beat them thanks to Naruto. "That was amazing. You've got a lot of energy in you." Kabuto smiled at Naruto. "Meh, it was nothing." Naruto grinned before walking up to the 3 ninja who were sprawled out unconscious and going through their pouches. "Hey guys." He jumped up holding a scroll. "Look, it's just what we need, a heaven scroll. Good for you." Kabuto fixed his glasses. Hinata exhaled in relief. "Thank goodness. We should go, the time is almost up." After getting to the building in the middle of the forest, they were met with Kabuto's teammates. "Kabuto, where were you?" "Sorry, I got a little sidetracked." Waving goodbye to Kabuto, they entered the building. "Look." Hinata pointed at a script on the wall. "What is it?" Naruto scratched his head. Hinata read the script out loud. "If qualities of heaven are what you desire, acquire wisdom to take your mind higher. If earthly qualities are what you lack, train your body and prepare to attack. When heaven and earth are open together, the peerless path would become rageous forever. This, something is the secret way that guides us from this place today." "This, what does all of that even mean?" Naruto asked, even though he was listening to Hinata very carefully, hypnotized by her sweet, gentle voice pronouncing the rhymes written on the wall. "It's about the scrolls, but there is a letter missing. I think we should open them now." "Okay." Naruto gulped, handing her one of the scrolls. A drop of sweat ran down both their faces as they slowly opened the scrolls. They both looked at the content of the scrolls in confusion. A man, a person. Naruto flipped the scroll around. Quickly, drop the scrolls, it's a summoning jutsu. Sasuke yelled out. The two threw the scrolls away and they started to smoke before exploding. Long time no see. A voice behind the smoke said, a rather familiar voice. The smoke cleared, revealing Iruka-sensei. Naruto yelled happily. Hi you three, phew, and you're just in time too. Congratulations, you've passed the second part of the exams. Iruka smiled at them. We passed. Hinata looked at Iruka, who gave her an honest smile. You did. Alright. Naruto yelled out, latching onto Iruka. Hey, it's still too early to celebrate. The exams aren't over yet. And Naruto. Naruto looked up at him in confusion. Iruka ruffled his favorite student's hair. Just don't overdo it, okay? Iruka-sensei. Naruto's eyes glowed with determination. When you gave me this headband, you acknowledged me as a ninja, and you know yourself how tough I am, so don't worry, I got this. Believe it. Sensei. What does that writing on the wall mean? Hinata asked. That's actually why I'm here. If you lack in body strength, you need to be powerful in intelligence, but if your fault is in your intellect, Naruto frowned and crossed his arms while Hinata giggled. You need to be strong in spirit. But if you have them both, he looked at Sasuke. Then you need to make sure you know how to use them together in order to be invincible. Okay, I get it. Iruka smiled at Naruto. You've come a long way. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of all three of you. Good job. Naruto chuckled and scratched his neck in embarrassment, and Hinata blushed. Alright, what's next? Naruto grinned. All of the genin who passed lined up in front of the Hokage and other jonin, including their sensei, who were looking at them proudly, some of them, a little too proudly. I see your team managed to pass, Kakashi. Guy spoke, not even looking at his rival. But of course, with my team still in the competition, your team is doomed to failure. I think it would be for the best if you just pull them out, don't you agree, Kakashi? He chuckled and turned to his rival. Kakashi merely looked at him. I'm sorry, did you say something? Guy screamed before he calmed down and flames appeared in his eyes. Boy, I hate it when you act so cool, but you will not get the best of me. 10-10 looked at the two from her spot in the lineup. So that's Guy Sensei's eternal rival. Based on looks alone, I'd say Guy Sensei would lose. But Lee had a totally different opinion. Man, Guy Sensei is so cool, I mean he practically glows with cool. Alright, listen up. The Hokage spoke. Before we move on to the final exam, we will have a preliminary exam. A preliminary exam? Sakura asked. Well, you see, we didn't expect so many of you to still be here, Hayate said, surprising the present genin. After the Hokage gave a long speech explaining why the exams are actually held, Hinata looked at Sasuke in concern. Sasuke, are you sure you are well enough to fight? Sasuke rubbed his neck. Yeah, don't worry about it. Hey, what is that thing? What happened to you guys in the forest while I was away? Naruto asked. That guy who attacked us bit Sasuke on the neck, the mark is giving him trouble. Huh, he bit you. Well, you better be okay, cuz it won't be fair if I'm kicking you while you're unwell. Sasuke turned to Naruto. Naruto, you're among the ones I want to fight the most. Naruto blinked in surprise. Was he just acknowledged by his rival? It felt so amazing to know that he's finally good enough to match him. Okay, let's start the first match. The names of the two who will be facing each other will appear on the screen above me. Hayate said. The screen glowed and green letters appeared on it, and after a few seconds spelled out the names. Yoroi Akado vs Sasuke Uchiha. Okay, let's start the first match. The names of the two who will be facing each other will appear on the screen above me. Hayate said. The screen glowed and green letters appeared on it, and after a few seconds spelled out the names. Yoroi Akado vs Sasuke Uchiha. Sasuke smirked. Why did it have to be the first match? Hinata looked at her teammate in concern. Are you sure you can fight? Yeah, Sasuke nodded. Make sure you don't lose, cuz if you do I won't be able to kick your butt in the finals. Naruto grinned. Okay. Sasuke, Yoroi, you stay here and everyone else, go up the stairs and clear the area so we can start. Hayate announced. It seemed like Sasuke had this in the bag, but only minutes later Naruto was gripping the railing as Sasuke groaned, getting pinned to the concrete floor by Yoroi, whose hand was on his forehead sucking out his chakra as Sasuke desperately tried to get loose. He managed to escape Yoroi's jutsu, but only by activating his Sharingan, which caused the mark to begin to take over his body. A disguised Orochimaru licked his lips in satisfaction seeing that his mark is working, but seconds later him and Kakashi watched in amazement as Sasuke managed to stop the marks from spreading down his arm, and the black flame marks that were covering his neck and arm receded back into the mark on his neck. Minutes later Hinata and Naruto watched in relief as Hayate pronounced Sasuke as the winner after he pummeled Yoroi to the ground with his leg. Sasuke was about to fall on his back from the lack of chakra, but he was held upright by Kakashi. We need to seal away that mark. Kakashi almost whispered to Sasuke's surprise. He knows. Now, Kakashi added. I want to watch the rest of the matches. Don't argue with me. That mark could spiral out of control at any time. Kakashi frowned. Sasuke snarled angrily. Fine. And with that the two disappeared in a puff of smoke. Where'd they go? Naruto blinked frantically. Do not worry. Guy walked up to them along with his 3 students. Kakashi will take good care of him. He smiled, revealing his sparkling teeth. He better not make him quit because of that mark. Naruto said quietly. I'm sure he won't. Hinata placed her hand over Naruto's. Yeah, you're right. He's too proud of us. He smiled at her and she smiled back. Okay. Time to announce the second match. Hayate said loudly. After Shino's bugs blew the overconfident Zaku away and Kankuro cracked Masumi's bones, the board showed a very surprising matchup. Sakura Haruno vs Ino Yamanaka. The two looked at each other in shock before they frowned in determination and headed down the stairs. The fight started off and continued with the two exchanging punches for a while before they stopped for a bit after Sakura slapped Ino. Naruto looked at the two from above. What happened to Sakura's hair? You didn't notice it before. Hinata looked at him in surprise. No. Naruto frowned, realizing that he wasn't looking at her at all like he usually would. He was surprised to realize that he pushed himself away from her. He looked at Hinata, who met his eyes and blinked in surprise. Her cheeks reddened a bit. He gave her a sheepish smile and shrugged. Guess I was paying too much attention to you to notice, he said softly and winked at her, making her blush even more, and she looked away, tapping her fingers together. Ino's yelling drew their attention back to the match and they both watched in shock as Ino cut her ponytail and threw her hair towards Sakura, making the strands disperse in the air and float down to the floor. The fight was a final straw between the two as they thought that they were finally going to reveal who is better, but that will have to remain a mystery as the fight ended up being a double knockout. After Temari defeated Tenten and Kin got overshadowed by Shikamaru, get it? The board was about to spell out the names of the next match. Shikamaru slowly walked back to his team. That was clever. Naruto added as Shikamaru walked past him. The clever tactic to unnoticeably get Kin near the wall so that she knocks herself out was a genius idea indeed. Yeah, but it was a drag. Now let's if you're more clever than you look. What's that supposed to mean? Naruto pouted. Shikamaru sighed and pointed to the board. Naruto turned towards the board and his confused expression changed to a happy one as he saw the names on the board. Kiba Inuzuka vs Naruto Uzumaki. Alright, finally. It's my turn to kick ass. Naruto pumped his fist in the air. Look Akamaru, it's us against the kid. This is gonna be easy. Kiba ran down the stairs. Naruto looked at Kiba and smirked as he saw him looking at him. He turned to Hinata. Wanna give me a kiss for good luck? I mean, I don't need it, but, he trailed off with a smile. Hinata giggled before leaning in and kissing him on the cheek. Kiba blinked and frowned at the sight. No way. His eyes followed Naruto as he jumped over the rails and landed across from him with a grin. I've been waiting forever for this. Sorry Kiba. Don't take it personally if I blow you away. A vein on Kiba's forehead pulsed. Arg. That's what I wanted to say, only not so politely. Amakaru barked in agreement. Now wait a minute, what's the puppy doing here? Is that even fair? He turned to Hayate. A dog is not considered as a second ninja, he is within the rules. Naruto grimaced at him. Whatever, fine with me. He then turned to his opponent. You'll need all the extra help you can get. Such big words for such a little squirt. He them feed a small brown pill to Akamaru and he took one himself. Naruto tuned to Hayate again. Hey, that's cheating. Food pills are considered a weapon, they're allowed. Naruto stared at him in disbelief. The heck are you even here for then? A drop of sweat appeared on Hayate's brow as he blinked in embarrassment. The first 10 minutes of the fight didn't go so well as Naruto kept getting punched by Kiba and got thrown onto the ground so many times a few drops of blood were starting to leak from his forehead. Kiba was fast so Naruto couldn't find an opening to hit him back so all he could do was to try and defend himself, but no matter how many times Kiba slammed him into the dirt he kept getting up again and each time he got up Hinata gripped the rails harder and couldn't stop a smile from appearing on her face. I know you can do it. She whispered to herself quietly cheering him on still unsure if she could do it vocally yet but she was sure she will later in the fight as she was confident in Naruto's victory. Meanwhile, Kiba was getting fed up with the fact that his opponent just wouldn't stay down on the ground so that he could finish him off, even resorting to his Gatsuga didn't help him. Coming up with a better plan he threw smoke grenades at Naruto and large clouds of thick dark smoke prevented the audience from seeing what's going on. Noticing that Kiba had stopped attacking Naruto, Hinata activated her Byakugan only to gasp at the sight beneath the smoke. What? Rock Lee suddenly appeared next to her but she ignored his curiosity and surprised everyone by yelling. Yes. That's genius Naruto. She jumped on her toes looking at the smoke in awe while others were looking at her. I see. Very impressive. Kakashi agreed. Once the smoke cleared there was no sight of Naruto but 3 Kibas were standing in a circle looking at each other. Whoa. That's brilliant. Sakura stared at the 3. Who knew Naruto could be that smart? Ino agreed. They were both glad they woke up before the fight started. Even that exhausted he managed to pull off a perfect transformation, there's no way he should be able to do that. Shikamaru frowned. Who knew that this would be such an exciting fight to watch? I see what you're trying to pull. Kiba exchanged glances between the 2 copies of himself. I admit, you look exactly like me and that threw me off for a moment but I still know which one is not Akamaru. Wanna know why? He punched one of his copies sending it rolling on the ground before it lay motionlessly on the floor. I can smell you, kid. He rubbed his nose. But the confident smirk on his face was gone after the copy dispersed revealing a roughed up Akamaru. Kiba's eyes went wide. No way. Kurenai stared at him in shock. He fooled Kiba. Shino was shocked as well underneath his high collar. Kiba's nose got them mixed up, but how? Kiba looked at his battered canine companion and angrily turned to the second copy punching it as well. So it's you. Messing with me. The second copy turned out to be Akamaru as well. What? Kiba blinked. Hearing a loud poof he turned only to see Naruto's fist which dug into his cheek sending him flying. When Kiba recognized the fake copy of him Naruto was clever enough to reappear as Akamaru which totally fooled Kiba. Way to go Naruto. Lee flashed 2 thumbs up. You are amazing, Naruto. Hinata grinned in excitement. Kakashi looked at her in surprise. He has never seen that smile on her. Shadow clone jutsu. Kiba looked up and wiped the blood from his nostril and saw 5 clones of Naruto, but just as he got up the clone circled him punching him into the air. Nah. Punch. Ru. Punch. 2. Punch. Kiba grimaced in pain but just before he could open his eyes the last clone punched him back towards the ground where the real Naruto finished Kiba off. Uzumaki barrage. Kakashi looked at him recognizing Sasuke's move. Well, at least he changed the name. Hayate examined the groaning Kiba then turned to Naruto. The winner is Naruto Uzumaki. Woohoo! Lee pumped his fists in the air. Amazing! Who thought he could beat Kiba? Shikamaru exclaimed. Ino nodded in agreement. That was incredible. Sakura watched Naruto wide-eyed. How did he get this strong? Naruto walked confidently up the stairs with his hands behind his head and a proud toothy grin on his face. When he got near Hinata, she jumped into his embrace. You were amazing. But you're hurt. Here, let me see. She untied his headband because the blood was coming from underneath it and there was a gash on his forehead. Does it really hurt? She asked, concerned. It doesn't hurt at all. He smiled at her. But it's bleeding. She pulled a handkerchief out of her pouch and started to wipe the blood off of his face. It's all right. Don't worry about it. He closed his eyes as she ran the handkerchief over his brow. Then she dug into her pouch again, pulling out a brown jar. What's that? Naruto asked. It's a healing ointment. Hinata answered softly. Opening it, she took some of the white ointment and rubbed it over the gash. She watched in amazement as the gash slowly disappeared. Naruto put his hand over his forehead and feeling that his wound is gone, he grinned at her. Wow, that ointment works great. Thanks, Hinata. Kakashi looked at his student. It's not the ointment that's making your wounds heal at an unnatural rate, it's the chakra of the nine-tailed fox. Don't mention it. Here, take it. She handed him the jar. Thanks, but considering that I get injured a lot, this is not going to last me that long. Well then, I'll just make some more. She smiled at him. He blinked at her. You made this? Seriously? Hinata, you're awesome. He wrapped his arm around her shoulders, making her blush. I'm awesome. But in the distance a pair of eyes were glaring at her, not feeling like celebrating. Silly Hinata. Not a care in the world. I've decided to stick with the original matchup because I love the fact that Naruto's revenging Hinata, his loved one, and since Sakura is not into Naruto yet. Maybe. We'll see. Hinata has nothing to prove against her in my opinion, since some of you thought I should match up Sakura versus Hinata. Hayate examined the groaning Kiba, then turned to Naruto. The winner is Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto walked confidently up the stairs with his hands behind his head and a proud toothy grin on his face. When he got near Hinata, she jumped into his embrace. You were amazing. But in the distance a pair of eyes were glaring at her, not feeling like celebrating. Silly Hinata. Not a care in the world. Sakura ran up to Kiba before the medics carried him out in the stretcher. Are you okay? He smiled slightly. I'll be alright. Give me an update about the exams when you visit me at the hospital later. Yeah. Sakura nodded as the medics carried him away. Okay. It's time for the next match. Hayate announced. Naruto stopped his little celebration and along with everyone else focused his eyes on the board. And that's when the letters stopped shuffling, and to all of the Jonin's horror, they stopped at Neji Hyuga versus Hinata Hyuga. The matches were selected by random, but out of all the names it showed a truly shocking matchup. Neji merely smirked and slowly and calmly made his way down the stairs. Hinata's eyes widened in shock and her body started shaking with fear. She looked at the board again and blinked in disbelief. Seeing that she wasn't imagining things, she glanced towards Neji for a fraction of a second before her gaze faced the floor and her shaky hands gripped the furry hem of her jacket. She was about to fight someone she spars against often at the Hyuga compound and whom she knows is far stronger than her. To make the matters worse, not only did Neji know how to exhaust her physically, but he could also crush her emotionally as well, knowing exactly which hurtful words to use to break down her spirit. She gulped in fear before feeling a pair of warm hands grip her shoulders. Looking up, her eyes met Naruto's as he looked at her in determination. You can do this, okay? Don't worry, you got this, believe it. I know you'll do great. Quote. Her throat felt so dry. Nah, Naruto, you've got this. He gripped her shoulders tighter. Just don't let him get to you, okay? Dictionaries and encyclopedias, okay? She closed her eyes and took a deep breath. When her eyes opened again, there was no fear in them, just excitement and determination. Naruto smiled at her. Go kick his butt. She nodded. Giving her a kiss on the cheek, he let go of her shoulders and she quickly walked down the stairs to stand across from her cousin who glared at her. But his glare turned to surprise after he saw the look in her eyes. She wasn't as insecure as before, she was much more sure of herself. Lady Hinata, before we start, I would like to give you a piece of advice. Quit now, you know why. Save the speech, brother. She interrupted him rudely but decisively, surprising him even more. Let's fight, Byakugan. She got into her stance. What? Those two are brother and sister. Naruto blinked in confusion. She told me she only had a sister. No, they are first cousins. Kakashi explained. Neji's look of surprise vanished and was replaced with anger as he got in the same stance, activating his Byakugan as well. Naruto looked at them in confusion. It's the same stance. Yes. The Hyuga clan has the most powerful taijutsu in the village. Hair from the same clan, so they will of course have the same stance as they were both thought the same thing growing up. Kakashi explained. Oh. Naruto's eyes turned back towards the two as they began exchanging blows. They both hit, punched and ducked in the similar way, but there was no visible effect. The sharp punches could actually be heard through the air, but neither of them made any kind of noise, they just kept trying to touch each other. Neji aimed his hand at her head in incredible speed, which she ducked just as fast by bending backwards and straightening her back again just as quickly, showing just how nimble and graceful she was. Naruto was confused again. What are they doing? They aren't even hitting each other. The taijutsu of the Hyuga clan is special. With the power of the Byakugan, they are able to see the chakra coils flowing through the body and hit them precisely, for that they don't even need to touch each other. They can stop the chakra flow of the body part that they hit just by releasing a burst of chakra through their palms. Kakashi explained once again. Whoa, that's amazing. Naruto blinked, looking at Hinata's fast moves. Awesome. The two kept exchanging blows until Neji slammed his palm under her chin. The force of the blow sent her backpedaling a few feet before she stopped, barely managing to stay on her feet. Her eyes squeezed shut from the pain in her jaw. She started to cough and a few drops of blood leaked out of the sides of her mouth. Wiping them away with her hand, she swallowed carefully and was met not only with a sharp pain in her jaw but also with the bitter metallic taste of blood. She quickly got back in her stance and rushed towards him, and they started invisibly hitting each other again. Neji looked at her in confusion. Between the punches, she seemed to mainly aim at his shoulders. Feeling a numb sensation grow over his left arm, he realized what she was doing and quickly pushed himself away from her. Panting and shaking a bit, she looked at him with a pleased expression in her eyes. His left arm relaxed against his side and he pulled up his sleeve to reveal red dots all over his shoulder. He glared at her in anger. Since when can you see the chakra points? She smiled slightly. All that training she did paid off. Her Byakugan developed quite a bit. Not only can she see the chakra points, but she can also see a lot further away. And since I am able to see them, I know that you can see them too. That's why I was holding back. How did you learn to be so cunning? Well, I have got the Leaf's most unpredictable ninja as my teammate. She smiled, glancing at Naruto, who gave her a big grin. Hey, well, I hope you did not also pick up his tendency to fail. Hinata's expression became serious. Let's continue, brother. After another dozen of swift blows, Hinata almost got Neji again. Did she hit him? Sakura's eyes widened. No way. She barely touched him. Naruto griped the railing. Even so, she must have hurt him somewhat. Lee added. Naruto turned to face him. What do you mean? That is what makes the Hyuga clan the most powerful taijutsu users. Guy continued. Their taijutsu is not like the taijutsu Lee and I use. We concentrate on inflicting external damage while the Hyuga taijutsu attacks internal organs and the flow of chakra through the body. No matter how hard you train, your internal organs won't get any stronger. Even the most powerful shinobi is vulnerable to this type of taijutsu. Kakashi added. Naruto turned back to Hinata in amazement. Whoa. But the amazement was short-lived, as after a few minutes Neji rolled up Hinata's sleeve, showing that he'd been doing the same all along. hitting her chakra points, leaving red dots all over her arm. But Hinata wasn't going to quit, repeating her nindo in her head over and over as she exchanged blows with her opponent. All these years I've been watching you, Naruto, but now, finally, you're the one watching me. I cannot look bad in front of you, Naruto, watch me. Wham! And Hinata flew a few feet before landing on her side with a short scream of pain. She panted and turned towards Neji. See, this is what separates the elite from the failures. Neji lowered the hand he used to strike Hinata. You sealed your destiny the moment you decided to continue with this match. You know you cannot win. Hinata just smirked at him. He looked at her in confusion before a drop of blood dripped out of his nostril. What? He wiped it and looked at the blood on his fingers. You. He started to cough. How? Yeah, she got. I am. Naruto cheered. Impressive. Kakashi blinked. Lee tightened his fists. She actually managed to hit him. Kurenai looked in amazement. Hinata made some amazing progress from the last time I saw her. I hope her father changed his opinion about her from that time I came to his compound thinking that she would be on my team. But as Hinata got up on her feet, the damage that Neji's blow had on her became apparent as she coughed out blood and fell to her knees again. Hinata. Naruto gripped the jar in his hand. You better quit before it's too late. Neji warned her. I never. Go back. On my word. She slowly got back on her feet. That's my nindo, my ninja way. Sakura blinked. Where have I heard that before? She looked at Naruto. As if feeling her eyes on him, Naruto turned to Sakura. She's stronger than I thought she was. Sakura admitted. Hinata's really tough, you know. Naruto told her. I see. Sakura smiled. We all do. Kakashi added. Naruto nodded in agreement. Kurenai looked at Hinata's shaking form. She's at her limit. One more blow and she's done. Naruto's head snapped towards her. What? Neji blocked her chakra flow. Kakashi frowned. She won't last much longer. Naruto's neck slowly turned towards his teammate. Hinata. Then something in him burst. Go Hinata. You can do it. Naruto. Hinata looked up at him and then charged Neji again. When I watch you, they exchange blows again. I feel full of courage. I feel that I can keep going, that I can succeed, that even I am worth something. HYA. She was about to punch Neji again, but he was quicker, punching her instead. She took a few steps away from him and grimaced in pain. But that didn't stop her. She charged Neji again. Both of them had their hand out to strike, but only one of them missed. Everything seemed to hold still. It was like time stopped. There was no movement or sound in the room. Everyone's breaths caught in their throats. Until Hinata collapsed to the ground in a dull thud, her Byakugan deactivated by itself and she coughed out more blood before collapsing. Her hand was still out, because it didn't manage to connect with Neji's stomach, but his managed to hit hers. You're finished. Neji deactivated his Byakugan and began walking away from her a bit wobbly, still feeling the blow she managed to inflict to him. No. Hinata. Naruto's heart skipped a beat. Hayate walked closer to Hinata. Since she's not able to continue. Don't stop the match. Naruto yelled out. Naruto, she's unconscious. Sakura's eyes widened. But Naruto just smiled. Everyone's eyes went towards Hinata and everyone gasped in shock. She was slowly getting up again. Neji looked at her in disbelief. Why won't you give up? You'll die. Just stop and end your suffering. Dictionaries and encyclopedias. You're wrong, brother, she panted. The one who's really suffering is you. What? You are the one who's all torn up because of the fate of the main and side branches if the Hyuga clan. Neji growled in anger and charged her. Hayate ran towards them. Neji, no, the match is over. But just before he could strike her, all the Jonin blocked him from doing so. Hinata felt her heart ache and started coughing before her legs gave out. Naruto gasped and jumped over the railing and ran towards her, catching her just before she hit the ground. Hinata. You, too, Shish, it's okay. You did great, believe it. But I lost. You're a winner to me. he said softly and kissed her forehead. Relax now. She smiled and her eyes slowly closed and her breathing calmed. Is she going to be okay? Naruto turned towards his sensei. She'll be fine, just take her to the hospital. Naruto nodded and was about to pick her up but a voice stopped him. Hey, you, loser. Naruto turned to Neji and frowned. I have two pieces of advice for you. Firstly, if you want to call yourself a ninja, stop the stupid cheering, it's disgraceful, and second, once a failure always a failure. We'll just see about that. Naruto said angrily. Because remember, I'm going to the finals. He dipped his fingers in Hinata's blood and held his fist out towards Neji. And when I get there, I vow to beat you. HMPH. And with that Neji walked away. Naruto pulled out Hinata's handkerchief and wiped the blood off of his hand and then wiped the blood off of the sides of her mouth, then stuffing it back into his pocket he picked up Hinata bridal style and started walking out of the arena. Walking out of the arena he was met with medics who transported them to the hospital using a transportation jutsu Kakashi often used. After Hinata was in safe hands, Naruto was told to go back to the arena but he refused, wanting to stay by her side. Sitting in the waiting room, Kakashi showed up in a puff of smoke. She's in surgery, Naruto said grimly. You missed the two last matches. I don't care. And also, since you weren't there, the matchups for the finals were decided. And you're up against Neji. Naruto gulped. Good. Go home, it's getting dark, you'll see her tomorrow. She's gonna be okay, right? Yes, she's in good hands, go. Getting back to his apartment, it was weird being there without his roommate. All of a sudden it felt so lonely. After taking a shower he went to his bed. I guess I'll sleep here tonight. But plopping his head on the pillow he felt something hard underneath it. Huh. He stuck his hand under the pillow and pulled out a locket. This is Hinata's. He opened the locket. Inside there were two pictures. One was a beautiful woman who looked like Hinata and the other one was a picture of him. Getting back home, it was weird being there without his roommate. All of a sudden it felt so lonely. After taking a shower he went to his bed. I guess I'll sleep here tonight. But plopping his head on the pillow he felt something hard underneath it. Huh. He stuck his hand under the pillow and pulled out a locket. This is Hinata's. He opened the locket. Inside there were two pictures. One was a beautiful woman who looked like Hinata and the other one was a picture of him. Naruto stared at the locket in shock. But he wasn't shocked about his picture being in there as much as he was shocked about the actual picture. It was his ninja identification list picture that the old man made him retake after his face paint one wasn't good for his list. But why did Hinata have it? How did she even get it? He'll ask her about later, when she comes back home. It does feel like home now, doesn't it? His eyes examined the other picture. It was a woman in a purple kimono with long dark hair and fair complexion like Hinata's with a smile on her face. She had the same eyes like his roommate too, so she must be her mom. Naruto remembered the time she told him about her mother. Her death broke her heart, so he didn't want to ask more about her so that she wouldn't get sad again. He also remembered the day Hinata's compound was destroyed. She had rushed into the ashes looking for the locket. He had noticed the relief on her face when she found it. Her mom must have been a very precious person to her. He put the locket back under the pillow and decided to go to sleep. The sooner he falls asleep, the sooner he will wake up to go visit his roommate in the hospital. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Sasuke had just been released. He wouldn't have even been in the hospital if that sealing jutsu Kakashi used hadn't knocked him unconscious. Kakashi even came to tell him he was going to be released this morning and of course to check the seal. Sasuke had asked him about the preliminaries. It surprised him that he actually wasn't surprised that Naruto had won his match, but what did surprise him is who Hinata had to fight. He had heard rumors about Neji and it was obvious that he was much stronger than her. Putting his headband on, he walked out of his hospital room and walked up to the main desk. Oh, you were just released, weren't you? A nurse at the desk greeted him. Yeah, Sasuke answered. What room is Hinata Hyuga in? Right down this hall, the third door to the left. But she hasn't woken up yet. Oh, Sasuke said and walked out of the hospital. While walking, he was in deep thought. I've wasted enough time in this hospital. I have to go train if I don't want to have my chakra sucked out of me like that again. But I have to find Kakashi first so he can teach me that jutsu he promised when he came to my room this morning. The Chidori. Naruto walked down the street on the way to the hospital with 2 to-go bowls of ramen, one for him and one for Hinata. He knew that hospital food sucked. After walking into the hospital, he walked up to the main desk. Good morning. I'm here to visit Hinata Hyuga, please. He said politely. The nurse at the desk looked at him. Third door to the left, but she could be asleep still. She pointed down the hallway. Thank you. Naruto was about to walk away but stopped. Hey what room is Sasuke Uchiha in? He was released this morning. As a matter of fact, you just missed him. Oh, thanks anyway. He walked down the hall towards Hinata's room. He slowly opened the door, trying to balance the ramen bowls in one hand, then he quietly walked in, closing the door behind him. He looked at his sleeping roommate. She looked so calm. He put the 2 bowls on the bedside table and sat on the chair next to the bed and held her hand. Both of her arms were bandaged from the wrist up, and even after that fight her hands were still so soft. He was pulled out of his thoughts when Hinata's fingers twitched slightly, gripping his fingers. She made soft mewling sounds as her eyes fluttered open. He smiled at her softly. Hey there, sleeping beauty. She blushed. Naruto. She slowly sat up and rubbed her eyes with the back of her hand in a childlike manner that Naruto found absolutely adorable. How are you feeling? He let go of her hand and scooted the chair closer to her. Better, I guess. She looked down at her bandaged hands and gripped the sheets slightly. Is something wrong? He looked at her in concern. I'm sorry. Sorry. What do you have to be sorry about? We talked about the apologizing for nothing thing. He smiled slightly. It doesn't matter. You were awesome. Really? She blinked in surprise. Yeah, but hey, why didn't you tell me about the Hyuga clan taijutsu thing? I do not know what you mean. When you were fighting, Kakashi sensei told me that the Hyuga taijutsu is the most powerful taijutsu form ever. You told me about the invisible hit thing and that you can shut off people's chakra, but I didn't know you could mess up someone's guts with it. Oh, well, my father's and Neji's taijutsu is much more developed than mine, so I thought that mine would not have the same effect. She looked down sadly but looked right back up when Naruto gently grabbed both of her hands into his. Are you kidding? You totally kicked Neji's ass. You were amazing. You shouldn't be afraid to brag about it a bit. He grinned. She blushed but her face paled when a low growl came from her stomach and Naruto burst out laughing. You haven't eaten since the exams, have you? She shook her head as the color came back to her face. Naruto took one of the bowls of to-go ramen and put it in her lap. Here you go. He handed her a pair of chopsticks. Oh, and Ayame says she hopes you get better soon. Thank you, Naruto. She smiled. No problem. Let's dig in. Woof. Woof. I know Akamaru. I'm hungry too. Kiba rubbed his growling stomach. Well, I think that would be it for today. Kurenai smiled at her exhausted students. You are improving every single day, good job. Yeah, and next time I face Naruto he'll know not to mess with us. Woof. Woof. Team 8 recovered from the Chunin exams, and while Shino is preparing for the final round of the exams, Kiba and Sakura are training with Kurenai. Let's go chow down some ribs, Akamaru. See ya. Kiba waved goodbye to his sensei and teammate. How about we girls go have lunch together? Kurenai asked Sakura. Sakura smiled. I'd like that. As they walked away from the training grounds, the two were rather silent as Sakura was lost in thought. There was only one thing on her mind, or rather one person. Naruto has changed so much since the academy and he got a lot stronger, and it seems that his chances in love are a lot better than hers. Seeing him with Hinata showed her a different side of him that she didn't even know he had, but she could swear that she saw a glimpse of that gentle and affectionate side of him once, but when? Wait. Now she remembered, it was the very first time they met. Flashback. It was the very first day of the academy and the students who were going to be her classmates slowly entered the classroom and started chatting and introducing themselves. She didn't know anyone, she saw them around the village but never spoke to them. The only person she knew was sitting next to her. It was her best friend Ino, whose ribbon was now proudly holding up her hair off of her face, showing off her high forehead. Oh, there's Raikou. I'll go invite her to sit with us, Ino said, getting up and running towards the door. Sitting all alone made Sakura feel a little nervous. Then she felt somebody walk up to her. Is this seat taken? She turned to her right so see a grinning blonde boy. Wow, she's really pretty, he thought. No, she answered shyly. The boy plopped into the seat next to her. I'm Naruto, what's your name? Sakura, she answered quietly. Sakura, huh? Like a cherry blossom. That's a pretty name. Sakura blushed a bit. Yeah, thanks. Hey, you, what do you think you're doing? That seat is taken. Ino's mean voice was heard above them. They turned around to see her and Raikou frowning. Why are you talking to him, Sakura? Sakura looked at them in confusion. She has never seen Ino this angry before. You don't want to be in his loser squad, do you? Raikou looked at her in annoyance and a tinge of disgust. No, he came up to me. I didn't do anything. Sakura defended herself, turning away. Oh, Naruto choked out in sadness and got up and walked away. I thought that she, of course not. Sakura looked at him walking away. Don't feel bad for him, Sakura. Ino took a seat next to her again while Raikou took the seat where Naruto sat a moment ago. Everyone treats him like that. He's a total loser, and if you don't want to become a loser and stay one of us, you shouldn't talk to him. Oh, Sakura said sadly before nodding, earning a smile from Ino, who quickly changed the subject and started talking about a new dress she had bought. Sakura glanced at Naruto, who was now sitting in the back row slumped over the table looking miserable. She blinked in confusion, remembering Ino's harsh words. But he was nice to me. End of flashback. Are you alright, Sakura? Kurenai's concerned voice brought her out of her thoughts. Yes, I'm fine. So where are we going for lunch? She smiled at her sensei. Why, you did what? Hinata looked at Naruto in shock. Yeah, I vowed to beat Neji, and damn right I will. With my blood. Yeah, why? 'Cause I'm doing it for you. Her eyes were wide and teary and her cheeks flushed as her hands gripped the empty ramen bowl. He can't get away unpunished with what he did to you. I have to sock him at least once. You did give him a few good bruises, but he deserves some more. Believe it. I'm sorry I couldn't get close enough to him. She lowered her head in disappointment. No, I didn't mean it like that. He almost jumped off of the bed. Taking her bowl and putting it on the table beside him, he sat back next to her and intertwined his fingers with hers once again. She looked up slowly and blushed when he lowered his head onto hers, gently rubbing his forehead against hers. Her heart sped up 10 folds. He was so close she could feel his warm breath on her face, which was making her flush even more. When I was watching you fight, every time he hit you, every time he made you bleed, every time he hurt you, it hurt me even more, he almost whispered with his eyes closed, his forehead still on hers. It was hard to watch 'cause I usually try my best to not let you get hurt. The thought of not being able to stop him from hurting you, not being able to protect you, even though I know you are incredibly strong and that you can take care of yourself. You know, she whispered. You have become rather overprotective towards me. He lifted his head but just enough to look directly into her silver orbs and gave her a small smile. I protect everything I love. Her heart stopped, but just for a bit before it continued racing faster than it ever did before. They were lost in each other's eyes. He moved away a bit to see her face, which was getting redder by the second. LLLL, love. She barely managed to choke out that word, one of those 3 words that flashed in front of her eyes every time she saw him, every time he smiled at her. The 3 words she just could never say to him, the words that were permanently in her heart but never made it out of her lips. She couldn't even blink, but even though her eyes were getting sore from not blinking, she could clearly see Naruto's eyes closing and his face slowly moving closer and closer and closer. Until she finally felt his lips gently touch hers. You know, she whispered. You have become rather overprotective towards me. He lifted his head but just enough to look directly into her silver orbs. I protect everything I love. Her heart stopped. But just for a bit before it continued racing faster than a waterfall. They were lost in each other's eyes. He moved away a bit to see her face, which was getting redder by the second. LLLL love. She barely managed to choke out that word, one of those 3 words that flashed in front of her eyes every time she saw him, every time he smiled at her. The 3 words she just could never say to him, the words that were permanently in her heart but never made it out of her lips. She couldn't even blink, but even though her eyes were getting sore from not blinking, she could clearly see Naruto's eyes closing and his face slowly moving closer and closer and closer. Until she finally felt his lips gently touch hers. But just for a second, as their heart-melting moment was interrupted when 2 nurses burst through the door. Their faces displayed shock, and it only increased when they saw Naruto looking at them in surprise and confusion. Are you alright? Your heart monitor was going crazy. One of the nurses finally spat out, looking at the now frozen Hinata in concern. Hinata's neck turned towards the nurses like a rusty gear, and her mouth opened and closed a couple of times, but nothing came out. As she didn't respond and her heartbeat slowed down a bit, Naruto said, "Yeah, she's okay, no need to worry." "Believe it. Are you sure? She doesn't look well," the other nurse asked. I am fine," Hinata finally choked out, swallowing the lump in her throat. "Well, we need to check your injuries anyway." The nurse slightly glared at Naruto. What did he do to her? "I'm sorry, but the visiting hours are over." Naruto raised an eyebrow but shrugged and turned to his shy teammate. "Well, I guess I gotta go." He pecked her on the cheek gently, which actually calmed her heartbeat. Then he got up and took the empty ramen bowls. "I'll see you later, okay?" He smiled at her. She slightly smiled back and nodded, and with that he walked out and closed the door behind him. The 2 nurses exchanged glares before smiling as they turned back to their patient. After checking everything and making sure she was healing properly, they left the room, leaving the still shocked Hinata alone. She was still in pure bliss from what happened just minutes before. Her and the love of her life kissed, not on the cheek or forehead, but on the lips. Naruto actually kissed her. It did last just for a second, but it finally happened. And it felt absolutely incredible. She had dreamt that Naruto would be the one to steal her first kiss, and one of her biggest dreams just came true. She slowly laid back down, gripping her cover and closing her eyes as her cheeks turned rosy. She let out a breath that she didn't even know she was holding, and a tear escaped her eye. He loves me. He loves me. He loves me. He loves me. Not Sakura, me. The tear became a thick stream that soaked her pillow when she rolled over and buried her face in the pillow, sobbing uncontrollably, but out of happiness as the realization stuck her. He's in love with me. Meanwhile, on the other side of the village, Naruto lay in his bed with his hands over his flushed face. What was I thinking, kissing her like that? Hinata doesn't. His thoughts stopped there as he gathered up the facts. She was the only girl that kissed him, and the only girl who would let him kiss her. He remembered that one time back at the academy when he tried giving Sakura a kiss on Valentine's Day and got his butt kicked. But Hinata would never punch him for it. In fact, she seemed to like it. And it would explain why she had his picture in her precious locket. Does she? Oh, well, I guess we won't have to pretend to be boyfriend and girlfriend in front of Konohamaru and the others anymore. You requested my presence, Lord Hokage. Kakashi asked as he stepped into Sarutobi's office, but there was someone else there, and to his surprise it was someone whom he hasn't seen in a while. Lord Jiraiya, long time no see, Kakashi. Jiraiya smiled at him. Not to be rude, but what are you doing here? I have a mission for those brats of yours, but it can wait after the Chunin exams. But the reason I am here now is because I need to get to know one of them before that. Kakashi merely looked at him. Naruto. Chu. Naruto wiped his nose on his sleeve and continued eating his ramen. Tsuki chuckled. You know, they say that when you sneeze it means someone's talking about you. You believe that? Naruto raised an eyebrow. Anyway, so she's set to leave the hospital in 2 days. Yeah, she said that she's recovering well. I'm glad Hinata told me that before the nurses told me to leave. Oh boy. Ayame shook her head. So, you seem to get rather excited when you talk about her, She teased her favorite customer. Naruto blushed and scratched his cheek. Well. Oh, something you want to tell me? Well, I guess we, kind of, kissed. He blushed even more. Tsuki's head whipped towards him and his eyes widened in surprise. Well, eep. Ayame ran over to him and hugged him. I'm so happy for you. She squealed. Then she turned to her father. Looks like I won't be washing the dishes for the next month. Tsuki sighed. You made a bet on us. Naruto scratched his head. You two are so cute together, it was bound to happen. Well, it's not official yet. But you like her, don't you? Ayame asked sweetly. Yeah. Naruto blushed. Do you think she likes me too? It was almost a whisper, but Ayame was quick to respond. Of course she does. Ooh, this is so exciting. You two are so different but perfect for each other. Ha ha, my boy's got a girlfriend. Today's bulls are on the house. Tsuki laughed proudly. Naruto grinned. Are you serious? This is the best day ever. Tsuki laughed again. Naruto's grin was replaced with a soft smile and his heart rate increased as he thought about his favorite girl. It really is the best day ever. The next day Naruto walked down the street happily with a box of cinnamon buns. He was headed to the hospital to visit Hinata, so he wanted to surprise her. Should I get her flowers too? Yeah, but those pretty arrangements at Ino's are expensive. I know. He jumped over the roofs until he got to an empty field in the village. There was a waterfall there, but there were also lots of flowers. He smiled ear to ear when he saw all the colorful flowers. Putting down the box of cinnamon rolls on a nearby rock, he proceeded to pick them and arrange them in a bouquet. After tying the large bouquet with some long leaves, he smiled at his work and went to pick up the box, but it was no longer there. He blinked in shock before his face turned into anger. He put the bouquet down where the box was and started to look for it. Taking a few steps into the woods, he heard messy chewing sounds. Climbing onto a larger rock, he looked behind it only to see a large man with long white hair sitting there with his legs crossed, eating his cinnamon buns. What the shit do you think you're doing? He yelled out in rage, causing the man to jump. You talking to me, brat? The man appeared to be ignorant. Yeah, I'm talking to you. How dare you steal my food? Oh, were these yours? Yeah, they were. Naruto looked at the box, which was now completely empty. He looked at the man with pure rage. You, a menacing growl rumbled from his chest and the air around them suddenly grew cold. Well, maybe you shouldn't leave your food wherever. The man tried not to let his shivers show as he knew where the growl was coming from. Well, maybe. You should eat food that you found, wherever. The growl became deeper as Naruto charged the man, but he dodged at an incredible speed and jumped over the trees laughing. Face it, kid, you could never catch me. He disappeared into the trees. Naruto was about to run after him, but he was snapped out of it as he felt pain on the back of his head and a piece of a branch falling to the ground behind him. Turning around, he saw 3 girls in bathing suits covering themselves with towels. Wait, you're not the old coot. The girl that threw the branch at him spoke. Naruto raised his brows. The old guy with white hair. The girls nodded. Was he spying on you? They nodded again. You know what? I'll take care of the bastard. He shouted angrily, grabbing the bouquet and storming out of the woods. What is wrong with that psycho? On the other side of the village, Sarutobi was in his office talking to his guest when someone stormed through the door. Old man, I need. Naruto stopped mid-sentence. His gaze went from the surprised Hokage to the man standing next to him. You. He dropped the bouquet. Red with anger, he turned to the Hokage. Naruto, what is this all abo? He's the one I came here for. Naruto pointed towards the man. Sarutobi looked at his guest. I thought you said you didn't meet him yet, Jiraiya. Oh, we've met alright. You need to keep this old fart on a leash. Sarutobi put his pipe down and blinked in shock. Is there something you need to tell me, Jiraiya? Jiraiya paled in embarrassment. Well, hey, this old bastard was spying on girls who were bathing. What? The Hokage growled. And that's not all. He stole the cinnamon buns I got for Hinata and ate them all like a jerk. Jiraiya, explain yourself at once. Jiraiya started to sweat. You see, I was just doing some research for my book, he said, pulling out an orange book out of his pocket. This edition is my bestseller, so I wasn't doing anything wrong. Naruto looked in shock at the orange book in his hand. You're the one who wrote the porn Kakashi-sensei is always reading. Excuse me. Hiruzen lifted his hat to make sure that Jiraiya saw the rage on his face. Naruto, could you please leave us alone now? Sure thing, but not before I get money for the buns he ate. Jiraiya sighed and threw a couple of bills at him. Naruto caught them. Sock him, good old man. I'm going to visit Hinata at the hospital now. Grabbing the bouquet again, he headed towards the door. And who is this Hinata you are talking about? Jiraiya asked, his voice still a bit shaky. Naruto looked at him. My girlfriend. And slammed the door shut. Hiruzen looked at the door in shock. His girlfriend? Isn't he a little too young for a girlfriend? Don't think we're changing the subject, Jiraiya. Hinata slowly bit into her bun, wide-eyed as Naruto continued his story. And now old man is talking to him. I hope he teaches him a lesson. He bit into his own bun. Naruto, do you know who Lord Jiraiya is? What do you mean, Lord? He swallowed his bite. He's one on the 3 legendary Sannin. What? You're joking. That old perv. Gah. He fell off his chair. Hinata giggled. Come sit on the bed, next to me. She blushed. Naruto smiled and sat next to her and winked. It had all worked out. When he walked into her room, she got excited about the flowers and the cinnamon buns, but then an awkward silence prevailed as the two didn't know what to say to each other. Naruto broke the silence by asking her to go out with him after she leaves the hospital. Then a bit of happy tears later, the silence was replaced with Naruto's story about the pervert who stole her cinnamon rolls. You know, I've got to make this date special. 'Cause if you look at it, we've kind of went on a lot of dates already. It's just that we didn't look at them as dates. You do not have to do anything special for me, Naruto. Just being with you is enough. She twiddled her fingers. But, really, you don't. Okay, but we're going wherever you like then. He smiled at her. She nodded. So, are you training for the exams? She asked timidly. Yep. Kakashi-sensei got me this trainer. He seemed like a loser at first, but he's not that bad. And ironically, he seems to be a pervert too. He made a face that made Hinata laugh. Shall we change the subject to something more, cheerful? She suggested. Naruto thought for a minute, but nothing came to mind. Until he looked at the cinnamon buns left in the box. He smiled mischievously and took a piece, putting half of it in his mouth. And then he turned to her with a grin. Bite. Naruto. It's been 3 days since Hinata was finally released from the hospital, 3 days since she could finally sleep in Naruto's comfortable bed, and 3 days since she finally got the heart of the love of her life. Her relationship with the boisterous blonde was nothing like she imagined it would be, it was even better. She knew practically everything about her crush, but she didn't know that he could be so romantic and loving and gentle. Naruto is definitely not someone you would describe as gentle. He was blunt, determined and direct, he doesn't hold anything back. And that had shown on the 3rd day when the Hokage requested Naruto to come to his office. Seeing the pervy thief there and finding out that he was unharmed after he left them alone in the office was enough to set him off, but finding out that the old man wanted the pervy old man to train him after he had complained about Ebisu made it even worse. Plus, Ebisu had his hands full with his grandson. However, His mood switched in an instant after Jiraiya had promised to teach him a killer new jutsu. Really? Is it going to be something really powerful and destructive? He punched the air in excitement. Jiraiya chuckled. Well, I guess you will have to find out, and I think it's best that we start right away as I've heard that you made it to the final rounds in the Chunin exams. Of course I made it. Who do you think you're talking to? Naruto puffed out his chest proudly. Okay, I'll go let Hinata know that I'll be busy today and then we'll meet at the. He looked at Jiraiya dragging out the last word. The hot springs. Jiraiya finished. The hot springs. Naruto's chest deflated as he looked at him quizzically. Yes, but we aren't going there for a bath or for the other reason you both probably have in your head. Hiruzen exhaled the puff of smoke he was holding in. Alright then, see ya later at the hot springs, I guess. Naruto was about to leave but Hiruzen's voice stopped him. And how is Hinata? He smiled widely seeing a slight blush on his favorite Genin's cheeks. She's never better. Believe it, he said calmly. I'm glad. The Hokage nodded and with that Naruto dashed out the door. Meanwhile, Hinata was grocery shopping for a special dinner for her and Naruto. Tomato sauce or sweet chili sauce? She quietly mumbled to herself looking at the sauces on the shelf. I'd choose the sweet chili one. Hinata turned around to face Kurenai who also had a half-full basket in her hand. Oh, Kurenai-sensei. She greeted cheerfully. Hello. Making dinner for the special someone. Kurenai smiled raising an eyebrow making Hinata blush. Well, yes. I want to surprise him. Again, she looked at her feet while Kurenai chuckled. So, he's not making you cook for him? No, of course not. Hinata answered quickly. Kurenai was a bit surprised at her slight outburst. Well, looks like Naruto is rubbing off on you a bit, That is what Hanabi told me when I went to visit her today. Have I really changed? Yes, you have. Now tell me, what kind of dish requires this kind of sauce? Kurenai. It's a dish that my mother used to make. I always watched her make it when I was little. Oddly, I remember every detail, so I'm trying to make it myself. But they don't sell the sauce that she used anymore, so I'm trying to find a replacement for it. Ah, I see. That's very special. Trying to get Naruto's heart through his stomach. She chuckled again. Actually, she fidgeted with her fingers, her cheeks turning rosy again. Kurenai looked at her wide-eyed. Wait, you two are? Hinata nodded slowly. Hinata, that's great. I'm so happy for you too. She ruffled her hair gently. Thank you. So how has it been between you two? It is, like a dream. Her hands gripped the handles of the basket. Kurenai smiled widely. This was such great news. She knew how unhappy the former heiress has been. Her life pretty much went downhill after her mother passed. So to see her finally happy filled her with relief. So how is the restoration of your compound going? I walked past it the other day. Seems that they have already put up the stone structure. Yes, the base of the walls is almost complete and now they are getting started on the roof. Excellent news. I have to finish my shopping then turn in for a mission with my team, so we will have to finish this conversation some other time. She said waving goodbye which Hinata returned. Yes, have a great day, sensei. Likewise. Hinata then turned back to the shelf. So sweet chili it is. And the sweet chili was obviously a good choice. Hinata tried the almost finished dish and was delighted to see that it tasted almost the same as the one her mother used to make. I hope Naruto will like it too. Speaking of Naruto, the sun is going down and he still hasn't returned from his training session with the Toad Sage. Hinata didn't know if she should worry or not. He was with a Sannin after all. He wouldn't let anything bad happen to him, right? As if on cue she heard the door slowly open. She almost dropped the spoon she had in her hand as she rushed towards the door. She almost gasped seeing a roughed up and partly wet Naruto struggling to take of his sandals. As he straightened up she jumped over to embrace him but he quickly put his hands in front of her to stop her. She looked at him in surprise. Don't hug me, I stink. He smiled. She smiled but it quickly disappeared. Are you hurt? No, just exhausted. He walked in, unzipping his jacket and peeling the damp piece of clothing off of him. The black shirt that he wore underneath was also damp, causing it to cling to every muscle on his torso. Hinata blinked rapidly to pull herself together. Why are you wet? I passed out, so pervy Sage splashed me with a bucket of water to wake me up. Naruto grumbled in annoyance. Oh, dear. Hinata put her hand over her mouth to hide her smile. You passed out. I'll tell you about it later. Now I gotta go take a shower so I can finally give you a hug. I missed you. She blushed. I missed you too. He winked and disappeared into the bathroom. Hinata hurried to set the table, and when Naruto got out from his shower, running his fingers through his wet hair, he sat down and motioned for her to sit in his lap. She blushed heavily but complied. A bit of gentle kissing later, she was still in his lap as she fed him a spoonful of cooked rice with the sauce. Amazingly delicious as always. How do you do it? He teased. Well, when you put your heart into it. She teased back, making him grin. So, how did your training go? Pervy Sage took me to the hot springs and told me to walk on the scorching hot water. Thanks to you helping me with my chakra control, I didn't fall in. I could have turned into a boiled clown fish. She laughed. Oh, Naruto. Yeah, but I guess that's why he did it. But then he had me sign this contract with my blood. A summoning contract. He's teaching you a summoning jutsu. She blinked. Yeah, that one. I'm gonna be able to summon a giant toad whenever I need it, believe it. Oh, so how is that going? Naruto paled a bit but then blushed. Well, not so good. I can't summon anything bigger than a tadpole. He wants me to do it with the fox's chakra, but I don't know how to get it to come out. Maybe you should try wasting your normal chakra first. The fox's chakra will then be all you have left. Yeah, that'll work. Man, you're so smart. He smiled at her and she blushed heavily. Now, let's finish this food and go to bed. He took another big bite. After they were both full and the table was clean, they kept going back and forth about who was going to do the dishes. Naruto insisted on doing it, but Hinata claimed that he's too tired. Eventually Naruto gave in and let her do it. He walked towards the bedroom with a pout. I'm waiting for you in bed, my little cuddle fish. He stuck his tongue out playfully. Hinata burst out laughing. You're so silly. That's why you like me. He teased again. No. He turned towards her in shock. That's why. I love you. She gulped. She had said it. She didn't stutter or faint. She just said it. She just finally said it. Naruto stood frozen in front of the bedroom door. No one has said that to him before. He knew Iruka loves him, and the old man and Ayame and Tsuki too, but they have never said it. He felt a warm sensation spread out of his stomach, streaming through his whole body. Most of the warmth was concentrating around his heart. His jaw finally unfroze and he muttered out, "What?" Hinata's hands unfroze and she wiped the soap suds off of them and turned to face him. But she didn't notice that he moved from his spot in front of the door, so as soon as she turned around he cupped her cheeks with his hands and pressed his lips onto hers. She squealed into his lips in surprise and her eyes widened as he swiftly moved his hands off her face and gripped her hips, lifting her up on the counter. He wrapped his hands around her waist and she wrapped hers around his neck, detangling his almost dry golden locks. The moment could have lasted forever, but the need for air struck both of them, so they parted, breathing heavily. After he caught his breath again, Naruto pressed his warm cheek against her cool neck and whispered, "I love you too." A tear escaped her eye and her still heavy breathing intensified. Naruto. She panted. Yeah, I think I'm going to faint. She held onto him. He chuckled. I guess it's bedtime then. It was a busy day in the streets of Konoha. The final round of the Chunin exams was coming, which is considered to be a huge event, and many people and wealthy guests will be coming to the village so experience fights of the best, so merchants and stores made sure to be stacked and polished in case some of those wealthy people want to splash the cash somewhat. The Yamanaka flower shop was just as busy, especially since Ino had some free time now to run the shop by herself while her mom did housework and things she didn't have time for before. While it was boring sitting at the counter all day, sometimes the people who walked into the shop made it a bit livelier, like who walked in now. "Hey, Ino," Sakura greeted. Ino looked up from some roses she was trimming. "Oh, hey Sakura. What brings you here?" Ino greeted, dropping the mean nickname just like Sakura had. "My dad wants some roses for my mom for their anniversary. He's out getting her a gift, so he asked me to get the roses. Plus, I wanted to say hello." Ever since her uncomfortable interaction with Naruto, Sakura has been trying to become a nicer person, and rebuilding her friendship with Ino was the first step. And the first step is usually the hardest, as the two still argue about Sasuke from time to time. Coming right up, Ino smiled, picking up some roses and starting to wrap them in decorative paper. "So, has anything interesting happened here these days?" Sakura asked, trying to start up a conversation. Ino left the roses for a moment to look at Sakura. Actually, there was. Naruto came in like 5 times last week, getting different flowers each time. My guess is that they were for Hinata. She winked with a sly smile. "I bet." Sakura smiled, then she sighed. "Well, I know she likes him, but I honestly never thought that Naruto would fall for her. I mean, I'm glad he did, but those two are so different from each other. Do you think it will work out? If the current status of their relationship is anything to go by, I'd say that it could work out. I'm still surprised that he got a girl before Sasuke or any other guy from our clan that matter. And Hinata is so quiet. For her to get a guy before any of us," she trailed of getting back to the roses. "It's meant to be, I guess," Sakura muttered. "Yeah," Ino sighed. "Considering how much he liked you, it's hard to believe her got over you so quickly." Sakura's head snapped towards her and she opened her mouth to fire back at Ino, but what she wanted to say died in her throat as she quickly shut her mouth. "That's not he," she turned away. "Aren't you glad that he finally left you alone?" Ino asked. "I don't know, it feel kinda strange because I'm so used to wanting to punch him every time I see him." Ino was about to giggle at that, but her eyes widened. "Well, don't punch him now, he'll fall into my petunias." Huh. Sakura was confused, until Ino pointed at the door through which Naruto was walking into the shop. "Oh, hey Sakura, sup?" He smiled at her. "Hi Naruto, nothing much," she replied somewhat lamely as her mouth dried. She has never seen Naruto wear an outfit without any orange in it. He was wearing a black sleeveless shirt and gray shorts. He had a grocery bag in his hand. It was for a romantic meal, judging by the lavender-scented candle peeking through it, and by the fact that he came into a flower shop. "What will it be today?" Ino looked up at him. He rubbed the back of his head sheepishly. When he raised up his arm, Sakura could tell he's been training his butt off, and judging by his butt she could tell that Hinata was a pretty good cook. Taking a bouquet of white lilies he had purchased, he waved goodbye and left. "Wow," Ino commented. Sakura nodded in agreement. "Well, here are your roses." She handed Sakura the rose arrangement. "They are beautiful. Thanks, Ino." Sakura marveled her friend's handiwork. And back at his apartment, Naruto marveled the display of food, candles and flowers on the table. "Hopefully she likes it." He grinned. It was about time he tried to cook and do something for his roommate, especially after what had happened last night. "I love you." She went to the Hyuga compound to check on things and he took the opportunity to do something special for her. Then he heard the door open. He turned towards it and Hinata walked in with a grim expression on her face. Seeing the things on the table and a smiling Naruto made her eyes widen, but her expression became even more grim. Naruto's smile dropped. "What's wrong? I made something for you, you don't like it?" "Oh, Naruto, I don't know what to say," it was barely a whisper. "You don't have to say anything, ya know." Her face didn't change. "Are you okay?" His concern was growing. "The compound will be finished soon, I will have to leave then." The tears came. "I do not want to leave." He quickly embraced her. "Is that what you're upset about?" You know you can sleep over any time you want. I know, but I like it here, a lot, with you, she sniffed. He faced her and wiped the tears from her cheeks. You know I'll always be with you, same bed or not, I'm here for you. She nodded and finally smiled. There's that beautiful smile, he teased. Come, the food will get cold. He led her to the table and pulled her chair for her. What is this for? She looked at the beautifully made table. Just because. He winked. As they ate, Naruto was glad that the food actually did turn out good and Hinata liked it. So, will you be training with Lord Jiraiya today too? Yeah, could I come along and watch you? I just want to spend as much time with you as I can. She blushed. Sure. Maybe you could even help me master this summoning thing so I can get to the other jutsu pervy sage wants to teach me. Other jutsu? What is it? I don't know what it is exactly, but pervy sage called it what was it? Oh, yeah. The Rasengan. The exterior of the Hyuga compound is almost finished, but while everyone else is glad that things will be returning back to normal soon, Hinata doesn't like the idea of not living with Naruto anymore and returning to the place of anger and disappointment. Plus, there is always a risk that something like this could happen again. Hiyashi brought some new rules regarding the items that come and go in and out of the compound to make sure something like this doesn't happen again. However, he was really displeased that the investigation wasn't going anywhere. They have still not determined who was responsible for the attack and there were no clues to help get to the bottom of this crime. His daughters and everyone else in the compound are in danger of the person who did this attempting to do this again in the hopes of the second attempt being successful. If that happens, the second attack might cause even more damage and even more rumors and fear around the village. Lord Hokage dispatched his best Anbu, investigators and interrogators to see what they can do and how they can help bring closure to this case. However, there was not much progress. Hinata sighed standing inside the newly built compound in the area that was going to be her room. Naruto was standing beside her holding her hand. He saw the sadness on her face, but he couldn't help but smile thinking about what happened a few moments before. Hinata had gathered all her courage and asked her father if he would allow her to move in with him. Of course, her father very clearly and loudly said no. Should we get out of here? We need to go meet Pervy Sage. He said quietly. Hinata nodded and sighed again. A few minutes later they were at the river where they were supposed to meet and where the two had previously trained. Jiraiya was already there sitting under an umbrella and cooling himself with a fan. An unopened bottle of sake lay next to him as he scribbled something onto a piece of paper, one of many laying all around his crossed feet. Looking up he saw his student. Ah, there you are. His gaze went to Hinata. Is that your girlfriend, brat? Yeah, Pervy Sage. She wanted to come along. Naruto answered walking up to him. Hinata bowed. It is nice to meet you, Lord Jiraiya. Oh ho, what a polite young lady. He gave Naruto a face. Unlike you. Alright, let's just get started already. Naruto replied annoyed. Go try to summon a frog again and the young miss can help you see what you are doing wrong. Jiraiya waved his pen at him. He knew about her bloodline, of course. Aren't you supposed to train me? Naruto crossed his arms. You already know that there is nothing more I can do, your incompetence is your own fault. Fine. Hey, Hinata. Should we try the idea we talked about? She nodded. Okay, but how do I drain all of my chakra? He rubbed his chin in thought. Perhaps you should make a lot of clones and have them spar each other until they all disperse. What are you two talking about? Jiraiya raised an eyebrow. Hinata said that I should try wasting all of my normal chakra first, and then the fox's chakra will be all that I'll have left. You said that I need to try to get it out, right? Jiraiya looked at Hinata with a serious expression. You know. She nodded. Yes. He told me. Naruto willingly told you about it, by himself. She nodded again. Yes. We have not broken any law. Good. Glad to hear it. He smiled. Now go and do your little plan, I've got my research to sort out. Naruto rolled his eyes and motioned Hinata to sit down while he made a bunch of clones and started the brawl. An hour and thousands of clones later, an exhausted Naruto gave his last clone a final punch. Even though the punch was weaker than the previous ones, the clone still flew a few feet away, landing right in Jiraiya's lap, knocking him over along with his umbrella, which was now on top of him. Naruto grinned weakly as sweat trickled down his face, but his grin widened after he saw Hinata trying to suppress a laugh, looking at the grumbling Jiraiya who was trying to fix the fallen umbrella. Okay. Naruto took a deep breath and made a hand seal. He held it until he could feel tinges of strength appearing in his body. Hinata activated her Byakugan and watched in amazement as a new red chakra surged from his abdomen. He bit his finger, doing a few more hand signs, and roared. Summoning Jutsu. As soon as his hand hit the ground, the clearing filled with smoke. Jiraiya waited in curiosity until he heard a menacing voice ring through the clearing. Jiraiya, where the hell are you? Jiraiya's body tensed as he recognized the voice. Oh, you idiot, out of all the toads you had to summon him. The smoke finally cleared, revealing a giant toad sitting in the middle of the now destroyed clearing with a pipe in his mouth and an angry look on his face. Naruto and Hinata were on top of his head and Jiraiya was on the ground. Hinata's jaw dropped. He did it. Yes. Naruto looked around in confusion, but then he took a few steps forward and realizing where he was, he yelled happily. Alright, I did it. I did it. I'm the best. Woohoo. What are you doing up there, Pipsqueak? How dare you? The toad asked in anger. How I dare? How dare you? I'm the one who summoned you, so I'm your boss now, believe it. Naruto crossed his arms proudly. You are the boss of me. I am the boss of you. He yelled, jumping up, causing the two to lose their balance on top of him. Hinata squealed in surprise and Naruto put his arm around her while using his other arm to hold on to the toad's vest. Hold on to me, okay? She nodded, wrapping her arms around him. The toad jumped around a few more times before stopping as he spotted Jiraiya. Why the hell did you summon me for no reason? I don't see anyone to battle around here, do you? Jiraiya chuckled weakly. I didn't summon you, Gamabunta, Naruto did. Jiraiya answered, emphasizing Naruto's name. Hua, Naruto Uzumaki. Is that you, Pipsqueak? Yeah, that's me, and stop calling me that already, will ya? Naruto answered, annoyed. Gamabunta thought. Naruto Uzumaki, so the Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails lives. He must have used its chakra to summon me. There's no way he could do it with his own chakra. Well then, it's there something you actually need me for. Gamabunta let out an exhale of smoke from his pipe. No, sorry to have disturbed you. Jiraiya answered with a slight smile. Until we meet again, in an actual emergency, I hope. I would like some real action. And with that, the chief toad disappeared in a large cloud of smoke. Naruto landed on his feet with Hinata in his arms. Gotcha. He winked, making her giggle. My hero. She teased, earning a slight blush from him. Alright, I guess you've mastered it. Jiraiya smiled at Naruto. Yes. He put Hinata on her feet. So does that mean you will teach me the Rasengan now? He grinned in excitement. Not now. The Rasengan takes years to master, and as far as I know, you only have a few weeks until the final exam. I have some other jutsus I can teach you by then. Naruto frowned at the first part of the sentence but grinned at the last part. Really? Alright, let's get started then. The sun hasn't gone down yet. No, that would be it for today, and I presume you don't have much chakra left. However, we can still do this. He pulled a piece of paper out of his robe. What's that? Naruto asked, confused and a bit disappointed. Chakra induction paper. Hinata added. Correct. Would you like to give it a go as well? Jiraiya asked her. I already have. It's water. But thank you. Huh. Naruto's face scrunched up in confusion. The chakra induction paper is made from a special type of tree that is grown and fed with chakra. This paper is used to determine one's chakra affinity. Jiraiya explained. Oh, so you put your chakra into it and it will tell you what element you are. I've heard of it. He turned to Hinata. Yours is water. She smiled and nodded. Exactly. Now let's see what your element is. He handed the paper to him. Even thought I have a pretty good feeling about what it will be. Naruto took the paper and focused a bit of his chakra in it. Almost instantly the paper split in half, but while the half which remained in his hand crumpled, the half which fell to the floor caught on fire and turned to ashes. Jiraiya blinked in shock. Well, Hinata's eyes widened. No way. Huh, what? What does this mean? Naruto, you have 3 chakra elements. That's amazing. Hinata smiled happily. 3. Naruto blinked. Wind, fire and lightning. Jiraiya smiled. Naruto stared at him for a moment before jumping up. Yeah, I'm awesome, I'm a badass. Woohoo. Well then, we'll meet here tomorrow at the same time and then I will teach you Shurikenjutsu, replication. I think that one you will find useful. Also, I think you should give wind style. Great breakthrough a go. Jiraiya rubbed his chin. Naruto grinned in excitement. You got it. Anyway, I have to go grab a bite, I will see you tomorrow. And with that Jiraiya disappeared with a small hurricane of leaves. I wish he would teach me how to disappear like that. Naruto pouted. He turned to Hinata just as she deactivated her Byakugan. He blinked. He did not actually disappear, he just used the wind to block our vision and then just ran away. Are you serious? He looked at her in disbelief. That stupid old man. She giggled before his stomach growled. Let's go home now. On their way home Naruto seemed to be quieter than usual. Is something wrong? She asked in concern. I forgot to ask Pervy Sage what those jutsus are. Oh, well, the Shurikenjutsu. Replication is done by doing specific hand signs immediately after you throw your shuriken, thus replicating it while it's in the air. So instead of throwing more shuriken at the enemy you can just throw one and make shadow clones of it and save more weapons that way. Of course, the trick is to be quick with your hand signs to be able to perform the jutsu before the shuriken reaches the enemy and catch him by surprise. Ah, that sounds awesome. You know all that stuff. Man, you're really smart. He tightened the grip he had on her hand, making her blush. Hey, do you know what the other one is? She nodded. Wind style. Great breakthrough is basically releasing a powerful wave of wind, but not a lot of shinobi know this technique as you need to have a lot of chakra to perform it because you need to release some of your chakra with the wind to make it sharper and more powerful. If you perfect it you can knock down trees and walls and blow away your enemies, more of them at once even. Whoa, that's even cooler. She smiled. I know these will be a piece of cake for you. She kissed his cheek. He chuckled sheepishly and rubbed the back of his neck. You know, I need to get you to explain things to me more often. I love listening to your beautiful voice. He added softly, returning the kiss. Well, sure. Her face turned beet red. But you didn't stutter once when you were talking, he teased. She smiled. He has no idea what he's doing to me. The finals of the Chunin exam approached slowly for everyone except for the participants whose time flied with intense daily training. Naruto was no exception. He slowly got a hand of the wind-style jutsu, but he had surprised Jiraiya by mastering the shuriken replication relatively fast. He had to admit though, the kid's aim was terrible at first, so it took some time to get the jutsu down perfectly. But not before he rubbed his inability to hit the targets in his face. Hinata was right, however, those jutsus were practically a piece of cake. At one point later in the night Jiraiya would make an excuse to leave, leaving the two alone, but they wouldn't go home right away. They would spar until the sun went down, completely leaving them in the darkness, which was of course, no problem for Hinata's Byakugan. After days and nights of preparations, that day finally came. People and nobles from other lands and villages started showing up in front of the main gate, including all 4 cages from other villages of course. The final round of the Chunin exams was a big event because unlike the first 2 rounds and the preliminaries, a lot of rich and average people placed a lot of bets on the contestants as soon as the list of the matchups was released. And the very first match scheduled was the one between Naruto and Neji, so there was no doubting about which one should they bet on. Naturally they all chose Neji, except for Iruka and Tuki. Every time someone would come to Ichiraku's for ramen, they were of course talking about the exams, and they would randomly ask Tuki who he put his money on. After getting the answer, they would call him crazy for doing that. Uruka got the same reaction from his fellow Chunin teachers at the academy. But they both had faith in their favorite teen ninja, and they knew he will not let them down. He never does. Naruto didn't have any idea about this, and he was currently at his apartment sitting at the table and trying to eat breakfast. He was actually nervous about the exams, and the knot in his stomach was killing his appetite, which he didn't even think is possible with Hinata's cooking. But it wasn't the fight itself the thing that terrified him, it's who he's fighting against. Is something wrong? Hinata looked at him in concern. Is it burnt? Did I add enough salt? Is it too much salt? Her voice grew higher with every question. Naruto grinned at her humorously. Relax, the food is great as always, it's just, I'm kind of anxious, he admitted. I know you will win. I have no doubt. You're just saying that 'cause you love me, you can't predict what will happen. She blushed and sat in his lap, cupping his cheeks with her soft hands. You are the strongest person I know, Naruto. I know you are going to make everyone proud. Not that they aren't proud of you already. She encouraged him. He smiled and removed her hands from his face, but not before kissing them. Thanks for that, you always know what to say. I love you. She giggled. I love you too. So how about a long kiss for good luck, huh? About 10 minutes later, the two were walking down the street hand in hand, slowly approaching the arena. Hinata could tell Naruto was getting more and more tense the closer they got. He was constantly biting his lower lip, his hand was sweating, and he was silent the whole way there. Hinata tugged at his arm to get his attention and gave him an encouraging smile, which he returned. Upon getting closer to the arena, they noticed that the area around it was becoming crowded, and that's when they heard the whispers of the civilians who were waiting to get inside. Hey, is that the kid who's fighting in the first round? Yeah, he's fighting that Hyuga kid. Him? No way. I heard that the Hyuga one is the strongest in his clan. He doesn't stand a chance. Well, at least it will be a quick match so they could move on to the good stuff. Yeah, and Uchiha is fighting that sand guy. I can't wait to see that one. Hinata gave them a terrified glance before she noticed that Naruto's steps got quicker and he literally dragged her inside. Once they got out of sight, he let go of her hand, stuffing both of his in his pockets. Stupid people, he grumbled under his breath. Don't listen to them, they don't know you. You will show them that. Why are they so excited to see Sasuke? I bet they don't know him either. Naruto interrupted her angrily. She walked up to him and played with his collar. You are not anxious about Sasuke nor those people nor the fight. Neji is what you are afraid of, isn't it? He didn't respond. And you aren't afraid of fighting him, you are afraid of losing, because you think you will disappoint me if you do. He nodded briefly, still unable to look at her. Oh, Naruto, I will not be disappointed if you lose. But I vowed to beat him, for you. And you will, I know it, and you know it too. She gave him a sweet look that instantly loosed the knot in his stomach. This was his girl, the girl that loved him and cared for him. He can't look like a bad boyfriend in front of all those people. The determination suddenly came back to his eyes. Yeah, and I will, believe it. And then he'll know not to mess with you or me ever again. She grinned. Yes. After a long hug, they were in front of the hall whose door had signed contestants on it. Well, this is it. He looked at her and smiled. Make sure you get a good seat so you can watch me win. She nodded and they kissed once again. Waving, he ran down the hall and she ran up the stairs towards the seats. Getting there, she looked for a good seat until a voice called out her name. Turning towards the direction it came from, she saw Ino waving at her and Sakura and the rest of the rookies sitting in the same row. Running up to them, she greeted them. How are you all doing? Great, and I see you're doing better. We saved you a seat. Ino patted the seat next to her. Oh, thank you. Taking her seat, they made small talk until the proctor announced the start of the matches. After explaining the rules to the participants lined up in front of him, he yelled out. Neji Hyuga and Naruto Uzumaki, please step forward.